Okay, because of those limiting current faculties of you being only able to handle so many, we had to do this.
Transistor circuits drawn out here that should look fairly similar. These are similar to what we've kind of already been exploring, but I want to think of them in a little bit different way. In that, so each of these has kind of an input and
Really? You gonna do that to me, Ben?
an output, and I want to think of these inputs and outputs in terms of voltage. And of course, transistors are current switches, but if this input, for example, so in the last video we burned up an LED by giving it more voltage than the manufacturer said that it should take, and it ended up drawing a lot more.
We want this. Look at it. You look at it.
Hello, today we're continuing in our A-Level Physics Revision series looking at exchange particles and Feynman diagram.
This is what you make me do.
In an earlier video, I set out what's called the standard model, which shows all the
Example is a voltage, then that'll
elementary particles that we're aware
if it's a positive voltage, let's say it's plus 5 volts, then that's going to create a current.
of. There are 6.
And of course, the switch the transistor on, and if it's 0 volts, then there will be no current, and the transistor will be off. So we can think of this in terms of these inputs either being on or off, 5 volts or 0 volts. Which
Alright, well, let's fix this. We need to undo this. Get the unmaker out real quick. It was broken from the beginning. Hopefully, if we've done things correctly here. There we go.
Which will help us out when we get into digital logic, where we deal with ones and zeros.
You would think.
And so,
you would think.
In fact, we can actually just start talking about ones and zeros now, as long as we keep in mind that a 0 means 0 volts.
But there is also a category, this
and a 1
column here,
means
which are called gauge bosons.
And so
they are
talking in terms
heating
of
up,
zeros
which
and
is
ones being our inputs and our
in
outputs.
eschatology
Because our inputs
up
can either be
from
0,
gravity.
0 volts,
Let's
or
take,
1
for
plus
example,
Get hot.
and actually what we'll see is that the output is
not
also
working.
going to be either one
Some
of these.
If we
zero,
bring
we
them
got
together,
some
So
zero
there
in
will
let's
be
just
a
take a look at this
repulsive
circuit
force,
on the left to start
because
with,
like
and see
poles
what happens
or like
when
charges
its input is 0
repel.
volts.
Well, it should,
So if I have
because
zero
phase
volts,
operators,
these
like it
electrons
doesn't need to
know
be just
that
this
the
first
other
column, the
electron
first
is
LED
there.
or
So
diode.
There has to be
Right,
some
that would
kind
be
of
a wire, a
information
battery,
exchange
some
so
kind
that
of
they
closed
are aware,
matrix on this
which
thing
we
collapsed
say
to...
Can also
that there
be either
is
0 or
what's
1.
called an
So if my input is
exchange
0,
of
so that's
particles.
0
Well,
volts
back to
coming in.
elements on the periodic
Then
table needing
The
this.
transistor is going to be off because there's no current.
The U
Remember,
are a
we have
diode. You're a
this
button
base
toggle
current
switch,
that
up
has to
spin
flow
charm, try and
in
figure
order
out that
for
graph. If I graph
the,
them the wrong
in
way,
order for the
DI,
collector current
DH,
to flow,
IO,
which
AO, they don't
I,
obey the rules of the universe
collector
in
current
which
to
they
flow.
need to do
So,
when I tell you what's up
with
in the
no
stone
base
mill
current flowing, there's
with
no
some
collector
charm
current
about
flowing.
top of the mountain
so
here
our
to you with the down
is
on the
not-
low
is
being
not
strange
connected in
and
any
at the
way to
bottom.
5 volts because the
And the
transistor is
photon
cut off.
gluon works that thing like
And
making
so the
puzzles
output is
on
connected
black
through this
body
resistor
graph
to ground.
calculations.
So
If
if we
you
measure the
do
voltage
over
between ground
averages,
and our
photons
output, we
traveling
get 0
through that
volts. So our
amps,
output in
Paris
this case
Island
is 0.
or
So our
airborne
input is
training
0, and our output is 0.
to do
Now let's look
the
at the case
Doomslayer
where
Ethereum kind of
our
mine and
input
bit farm out
is
there. You're
1.
doing,
So if our
you know,
input is
you're
1,
pulling down well.
which,
They
remember, means
suck down
plus
into
5
those
volts. So
things,
we're using
those are
5.
the
We're using 1 to
anti-shadow
symbolize plus 5
jutsu of this
volts,
thing
or I guess another way to think of it
collapsing
is
in
we're using
certain
plus 5 volts
ways that pull
as
the
kind
gravity
of
and would
our symbol
correlate
for
to its
the
voltage
notion
or
of 1.
output being,
But
oh,
anyway,
you're a mad little pixie that's upside
if our
down.
input is
charm,
1,
huh?
then we're going to have that 5 volts, and so we're going to have a current flowing across from our base to our emitter.
Bastard.
And so when that current is flowing, assuming there's enough current, and we're assuming that there's enough current to get the transistor into saturation, which means that current
like
will
I said,
flow
now to
unrestricted
get
from
I/O
plus 5 volts to ground.
to do this
So
is going to
when
look like
that's
a
happening,
supercomputer by
the current is flowing
metals,
unrestricted from plus 5 volts to
geometry,
ground. If we were to measure
housing
our
limits of the
voltage
standard models,
from
like
our
configurations of pin
between
chips,
output and ground, output is
MOSs,
basically directly connected to plus 5
reprogrammable
volts because
Arduinos,
we have current flowing
ROMs,
unrestricted from that plus 5 volts.
CPUs,
So in this case, our
GPUs.
output
Good at
is
math,
gonna be
good
1.
at processing,
So
polygons, which are,
at first glance
again,
doesn't seem
it's
to be
hot,
terribly
it's
interesting.
cold,
We put
it
5
might
volts in
have
over here,
spin
we
that
get
puts
5
it in
volts out over
operator
there, we
ones
put
and
0 volts in
zeros.
over here, we get 0
That,
volts
at those
out
states
over
at the
here. But of course we saw
quantum mechanical
before
and quantum
that this
chromodynamics,
output
the
can drive a
physics
whole lot more current
would drive a whole
than the
lot
input
more
might be able
sense
to.
to
So we might
explain
have our input
kids
have
this
a
is
relatively
kind of
low
the way you
amount
do
of
that, and
current,
you can simulate that.
but then our output is
The
able to
other
drive more
half of
current.
that one at this
And
side
there are
of
a
the
couple different
table
names
is
for
we're going
this
to talk
circuit that I want
about
you to
why
be
that
familiar with.
changed some of these average numbers in
One
the
of them
rabbit calc to give you
is-
a more
is
precise
this is called an
rendering or
emitter follower.
smoothness step loop to get your
And let me
holographic
read it. I
simulator
apologize,
running in the
my
mill
handwriting
that
is
way
terrible.
by vector positions on
emitter
those
follower.
cosmic radiation backgrounds. The difference is they kind of give me some balls and sensors on
Emitter
my
follower.
whatever the object is that allows me
And
to
the
do it.
reason
Now
this
they
is called
dance all
an emitter
around
follower
in a
is
mandrel
basically because the
fractal
emitter,
doing some
this is the
3B,
emitter
1B
of
stuff.
our, and of course,
Ben Eater's version of it in the computer program differential,
the collector, this is the base
not
of
just
our transistor. The
They are
emitter follows the
responsible
input,
for the
follows the base.
forces.
So the emitter
that
follows the
we
base.
observe
usually
on the
IH, that the guy in
today.
charge, because they
Another
do the
name
heat
for
light
this,
sound
Let's
and
take,
catch
for
one of the
example,
balls would spin.
two
You feel like,
electrons.
oh, it's a photon. No, it's a photon ID,
And
if we
DI,
bring them
derivative
together, there
I,
will be a
derivative T,
repulsive
basically
derivative
a
space
buffer
over
just
those
is
lengths.
Because
a
That would be
logic
known to one
device
person.
Light
that
charges,
takes
How it
whatever
would
input
change
is
it,
and
how
gives
it
to you
would
as the
But
output.
how do
And
these
there's a symbol
energy not
know
created nor
above the
destroyed is
electrons get into
transformed.
digital logic,
And
There has
the
to be
logic
some
on
kind
that's
of
only giving me
information
partial wave
exchange
functions of
so
what it's
that
doing.
they
And
are
I might
aware,
need to take another
and we
loop or
say
something to
that there is
re-amplify it with
what's
certain
called
spin.
an exchange
so
of
That would
whenever you
be
see this
the
symbol,
logic
or we
gates
get into digital
exchange
logic,
behind diagrams
basically any
of
circuit that
the
does
fundamental
this.
This
And it may not be
forces
implemented
by
exactly like
value
this
of
with
the
the transistor
schematics
and
and how you
resistor.
have
Virtual
limited
might have
space
some components
to
in
deal
it
with that,
responsible
or
for
have to deal with the
exchanging
Excel
information.
faculties of
And is
compression.
Effectively,
essentially
So you know
able
how
to
the pages
take
file switch
whatever
over, it's
voltage
still
is
an
on the input
action.
and it'll
Now we are
At
aware
those
of
lengths, you're
four
just
types
quantifying
of
that
forces
action
voltage level in the
on a
output.
different
in the
plane,
world.
which
And
takes
actually,
certain
one is
process
the
to
strong
You
heat
may
light
take
the sound
a
off
range
the
of voltages
which I
LEDs.
described
that signify 1
earlier.
on the input and give out
Second,